Hello guys, welcome to the part 2 of our HTML crash course. Today we'll be focusing on divs and attributes and how they all work hand in hand. This is going to be a very short one, and I'm going to be posting this HTML crash course in series because I found out that because it is I initially intended it to be a very long video, but I found out that I'm not able to cover everything I'm supposed to cover on each concept I talk about, and because I want it to be in one video, I tend to skip a lot of things. But now that I'm making it a series, I'm going to be focusing extensively on probably two aspects of the HTML markup language and explain it in details so that you'll be able to get it once and for all and move on to the next step in your journey to becoming a web developer. Okay, so I am on the home page of my text editor now. In the previous video, if you observed, I used a different text editor. I used Sublime text editor, but in this part 2 and in subsequent videos that I'll be uploading, I'll be using the VS Code text editor because it is much more efficient, even though Sublime text editor is amazing. It is in no way I'm in no way talking it down, but I just personally feel like VS Code is kind of better. You would see the difference now as we begin to code. Okay, so that being said, let's go to the code. But before then, kindly leave a like to this video. Please subscribe to this channel. It's a new channel, and I have just recently started taking this serious, so it's still very young, so I would really want your support to get this channel moving and running. That is the motivation I get to always create content and always show up. So without further ado, let's just go into the video. So I'm going to create a file now. I'm going to name it div.html, like we said in the previous class. For every HTML document, you have to give it the extension of .html. So I want to talk about div. In the previous video, I spoke about tags, and I spoke about inline tags or elements, and I spoke about block tags or element, and I spoke about inline tags. Now I really spoke extensively about inline tags. I give a series of examples like the p tag and whatsoever, the different types of tags that are available. And today I'm going to be talking about the block tag. But before then, let's give our boilerplate. So I explained what this boilerplate is doing. Let me quickly run through it again. This is telling us that we are running an HTML5 document. This is telling us this is the start, the start tag, and this is the end tag, while this is an attribute that is telling us that we are running we are definitely typing our HTML document in English. Then we have a tag. These are meta tags. Now meta tags are meant to give additional functionalities to the website, like responsiveness, SEO and all that for the SEO experts. Okay, so this meta tag is basically giving the attribute of character. So it is telling us that we're using the character set of this. You can check Google to know more about it. Then this is basically the compatibility of our HTML document on browsers. Yeah, you can also check more to know more about it. Then this is responsiveness. So it is actually going to be making our video responsive, and it can take up the sizes and get to show properly on different file document on different devices. Okay, so this is our title tag. This title tag basically shows at the top of your browser, which I'm going to show you in a second. Now this is the closing of the head tag. This is the opening of the head tag. Now in the full HTML tag, I told you before that we have the head and we have the body. So in the body section, this is the body, the start tag of the body. This is the end tag. So or you might call it the opening tag, and you might also call it the closing tag. Now in the body, that is where all our visible part of the code will be in. So like I explained in the previous video, so I'm just going to change this tag to div tags / elements. Okay, div tags or elements. If you save it, let me open this in our browser. So I copy the path. Oh, sorry, why am I doing this? Okay, yeah, I copy the path, I come to our browser, okay. So as you can see, if you look at, just follow my mouse, if you look at this, we have div tags and elements, just like we have in the title, So we're just going to be checking if our code is running. Oh, I think I should just put it side by side for us to have a seamless. Yeah, I think this is better. So like I said, I'll be talking about the div tag. So what is the div tag? The div tag is definitely short for division. So and it is a block element. Now, what are block elements? Like I said the other day, block elements are elements that basically takes or displays in a new line, and one of the examples is div. Now let's do something. Block, let's name this block 1, and then block 1, and let us copy and paste this. Now, on a normal, if this was an inline tag, they will basically just show on the same line, which we are going to see in a second. But because they are, let me put it, this is an the div is an inline, is a block element, it will basically show on the second line of on the next line, more like what you call a new line. So it's not going to start on the same line with the previous div. If I save this now and I go back to our document and we reload, you can see that they are all showing on the same on a new line. Now, for us to be very, paragraph is also a block element. So if you have paragraph 1, let's put it P1, paragraph 1. Let's copy this and paste it a couple of times, and then we save. Now if we come back to our, they are going to appear on new lines. Now let me give you an example of an inline element for you to see what it is like. Now if we have something like italic, now if we have italic, or let me use the emblem. Okay, this element is an inline element, and you're going to see in a second. So let's put inline 1, and we're going to replicate this. Let's copy this. Save. Now if we come to, let me change this to 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if we come to our browser and we reload, you can see the difference. So all this is showing on a straight line, while these are showing on different lines, So this is just the basic difference of what. Let me leave a comment here, and by the way, I'm going to leave this code to for in the comment section for you to just download and make reference to while you are practicing. So these are block elements, while this is an inline element. Okay, so I'm going to, I believe you understand what I actually mean by inline elements and block elements now. So I'm going to comment all this out. Now I want to show you some other examples of the div. I don't know if it is the right time for you to know this, but I think I'm just going to show you. Now the div is an inline element, and I think I did not talk about this in the previous video, and that's why I'm going to talk about it a lot. Now elements or block elements can be nested. Let me start from here. Yeah, block elements can be nested. Now I'm going to show you what I mean by nested. Now I think we did lists and all that the other time, so let's deal with this now, and let me show you what I mean by nested elements now. So let me leave a comment. Nested element. So a div can actually be a nested element, which, so let's assume we have our div. We can have in the div another div. So I want to put two divs in this element, so we can have another div. We call it div 1. No, let's call it div, then let's give this also another div. You can see that we're having two different divs in a div. Now I'm going to explain this by introducing what I will call classes, or not what I will call, what is called classes and IDs. Now what are classes and IDs? Because the reason why we are going to talk about classes and IDs here, normally we're supposed to talk about this in our CSS, but you know, CSS and HTML they are more like intertwined, because you hardly cannot talk about HTML without CSS. Okay, so classes, like the name implies, let me leave a comment here. Let me just quickly run through this, because I cannot explain this without actually talking about this. So it's I can't escape it. So classes are elements with the same properties, and IDs are elements with a unique, let me get rid of that, elements with a unique property. Now what do I mean by this? When you are given, and they are all attributes, they are all attributes. Now if I want to, like I said, classes are elements with I did not spell this correctly. Elements, I said classes are elements with the same properties, while IDs are elements with a unique property. Now what do I mean by this? When you give, for example, let's give this a class of div 1, and then let's give this also a class of div 1. Now you cannot give, you can give two elements the same class, or you can give 50 elements the same class, but you cannot give two elements the same ID. Each element must have a unique ID. In other words, you only use ID when you do not want to use that property at all in your code for any other thing. For example, probably you have an image and you want to give it a different class entirely, and you want to give it a different design entirely in your CSS. You use a div because you are not going to be using that property you have given your element, or whatever you're doing, probably your text or your image or your whatever it is that is you're doing. If you're not going to be using that property, then you use your IDs. But if you're going to be using these properties again, you use your class. Now I'm going to do this now by just putting let me just let me put my HTML style in here. I'm just going to quickly do a style. Now I'm going to give this now div. I'm going to give our div1. You don't have to know about this for now. I just want to use this to explain what I really want to show you. This is going to be shown or taught in our HTML, our CSS crash course. So just hold on for this. So we have, let's give it a background color of, let's give the div a background color of green. Now if we come to our HTML page and we reload, we don't have that. It's not showing. Let me see why it's not showing. Div1, did I give it? Oh yeah, I did not give it the correct name. Okay, so, and I come back to my, it's still not showing. What is wrong? I'll give it a class of div1. Okay, did I see? Let me see. Okay. I know what is wrong. Let me give it a height of 20 pixels and a width of 50 pixels. Now if we come down to this place, look at what we have. I think it should be, let me give it a percentage instead of save. Look what we have. Let me make the height more. I want you to really understand this thing. Yeah, 50 pixels. Okay, now if you observe, and okay, let me give it a border 2 pixels, solid black. Okay, oh exactly. Now if you look at this, we have two divs. This is the first div and this is the second div. Now we have two divs in another div, nested in another div, and this arrow is basically showing us that we have two different divs. This is a div1 and this is the div2. The reason why they are both taking the property I have given this in my CSS is because they are both taking the class. Let me just move this up. Let me move it to the top. The reason why they are both taking the green color property and they are taking the border property is because they have the same class. Now if I change this to a div, if I change this to an ID, you'll see what will happen. Now you'll see what will happen. It disappears. The reason is because IDs cannot be attributed to the same again and again in an HTML document. So if I want to use an ID now, I am making sure that that ID will not be repeated in any other place, because the truth is that even if I call it, it won't show, because it is specific to whatever tag I have given it to. So that is the basic difference between a class and an ID, and I hope I've been able to use it to explain what a nested tags are. Now if we want to even take it further and we say we give this another div of a class of inner div, and then here we give it a color, inner div, and we say color, background color, we say blue, and then we give it a height. Okay, we give it a width. We give it a width of 40%, and then we give it a height. We give it a height of 30 pixels. Now, and we save. If we come back to our, you can see what we have. So you can nest divs in each other. That's just what I want you to know, and that is just the basic concept of nested divs and what you have it, nested divs and IDs and classes. And I hope you already know what a div is, that's a block elements are, and what inline elements are. That's it for today's video, guys. Leave a comment in the comment section, ask me any question. I'm going to try as much as possible to leave a reply, and also subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. In the next video we'll be talking about forms.